English Club Cafe. Reaching a milestone.
Well, we've reached a milestone.
Yep, it's been a long haul, but we've finally made it. Did you ever think we'd get here?
I admit I had my doubts. At the beginning, I was really dubious that this venture would pan out. I thought that our prospects were iffy at best.
Me too. We didn't have an auspicious start, but we had a turning point after a few months of grinding out the work, day in and day out.
So, what should we do now?
I think we both deserve a celebratory drink, a toast to our achievements so far.
That sounds good. Then what?
Put our noses back to the grindstone?
I was afraid you were going to say that. We begin this episode with Jeff, that's me, saying to Lucy, "Well, we've reached a milestone." A milestone, milestone, is some significant event or achievement that indicates that you are making progress towards some goal. We often use this term in business nowadays when talking about project management or project planning. When you have a big project, there are many things you have to do, many things you have to accomplish. Typically, you will divide up the different things you need to do and put them on a schedule so that, for example, by next Friday, you will have completed this task, and by the Friday after that, you will have completed that task, and so forth. These are milestones that you are setting up, that you are establishing, that you want to reach by a certain date or day. I begin the dialogue by saying that we have reached a milestone. Lucy says, "Yep." That's an informal way of saying yes or yeah. Yup, Y-U-P. It's been a long haul, but we finally made it. A long haul, H-A-U-L, is a long and difficult or challenging period of time that you have to go through in order to reach your goal, to reach your objective, or in this case, to reach your milestone of 1,000 episodes, of course. Lucy says it's been a long haul. It's been a difficult journey. It's been a long journey, but we have made it, she says. We've finally made it. To make it means to achieve your goal, to accomplish what you wanted to accomplish, to reach the milestone in your project as you are making progress towards the final goal or objective. Lucy says, "Did you ever think we'd get here?" She's asking me if I ever thought we would get to this particular milestone. And I say, quite honestly, I admit I had my doubts. When we say I admit, we're saying that what we are about to say is something that we may not have wanted to say or perhaps are embarrassed to say. Here it perhaps means to be really honest with you. I say I admit I had my doubts. At the beginning, I was really dubious that this venture would pan out. To be dubious dubious, means to be full of doubts, to be uncertain, not to be sure if something is going to happen or if something is true. I say I was really dubious that this venture would pan out. A venture, venture, is an effort to do something that is challenging or difficult, especially as it relates to a business, for example, or an organization. If someone talks about starting a new venture, they're talking about starting a new organization or, more commonly, a new business. We have the expression venture capitalists. A venture capitalist is someone who goes out and invests in, gives money to new businesses in the hope that the business will be successful and that venture capitalist will get his or her money back, plus a profit, of course. I say I was dubious that this venture would pan out. To pan, P-A-N, out, is a two-word phrasal verb, meaning to be successful, especially in making something financially successful or in some other way successful. You could also talk about your relationship not panning out. I went out on a date with this girl, but it didn't pan out. She didn't like me. She had another boyfriend. You know, the usual excuses. I say, I thought that our prospects were iffy at best. Your prospects, prospects, are the chances that you are going to do well. It's the likelihood of future success. In sports, we sometimes talk about prospects to refer to young baseball players who are very talented and who we think will be successful in the future. You could also talk about your prospects for employment, for getting a job. If someone graduates with a degree in, ancient history, that person might not have very good prospects for the future. That's me, by the way. I graduated with a degree in ancient history many years ago. Not 2,000 years ago, but many years ago. I say that I thought our prospects were iffy at best. Iffy, I-F-F-Y, means doubtful, not certain. It's somewhat of an informal term that we would use when we are not sure something is going to happen, when we are doubtful something will happen. We might say, I want to try this new restaurant, but it's a bit iffy, or it seems a little iffy. We mean it could be very good or it could be very bad. We're not sure. At best means at the most. When I say our prospects were iffy at best, I mean that they were at most doubtful, meaning they were very doubtful. The best case scenario, the best possible outcome or situation was, in this case, iffy. You might say, for example, we'll probably make $200 today at best. At best there means the maximum amount, the most that we will make. Lucy says, me too. She agrees our prospects were iffy at best. She says, we didn't have an auspicious start, but we had a turning point after a few months of grinding out the work, day in and day out. When you say you have an auspicious, A-U-S-P-I-C, I-O-U-S start to something, you mean you have a good beginning, a favorable beginning, a beginning that indicates that things will turn out well. However, in our case, Lucy says, we did not have an auspicious start, but we had a turning point. A turning point is some event or situation that causes you suddenly to become very successful or not very successful. In general, it means that you have some event that causes things to change significantly from the way they were going before that event. If your girlfriend says, we've reached a turning point in our relationship, she means either things are going to get much better or they're going to get much worse. I don't know. It depends on your girlfriend. The turning point would be a sudden change or a significant change, something important that will affect the way things are going, or rather the way things will go in the future. We had a turning point in this venture after a few months of grinding out the work. To grind, G-R-I-N-D, out, is a phrasal verb meaning to continue to do something, especially if it perhaps isn't very interesting or if it requires a lot of work, or possibly both. To grind out something means to work hard and get it done, even if it isn't always the most pleasant or pleasurable thing to do. That's not true with our podcast, of course. But in the script, Lucy says that we had a turning point after a few months of grinding out the work, day in and day out. That expression, day in and day, D-A-Y, out, means day after day. It's a phrase that we use to emphasize that something happens every day without rest. Day in and day out, you get up in the morning and you eat breakfast and you go to work and you come home and you read a book or watch television and you eat your dinner and you go to bed. That happens day in and day out for many people. Jeff, that's me again, says, what should we do now? Lucy says, I think we both deserve a celebratory drink, a toast to our achievements so far. Celebratory comes from the verb to celebrate, C-E-L-E-B-R-A-T-E. To celebrate means to do something to mark or to remember some significant event or situation. We celebrate our birthdays. We have a party or we go out to dinner. That's to celebrate. You do something that makes you happy, something that will make you remember how good this event or this situation is. Lucy is proposing we have a celebratory drink. Normally, when you use the word drink in American English, you're talking about an alcoholic drink, such as beer or wine or whiskey or rum. I like rum, personally. That's my favorite alcohol, but I don't drink alcohol very much anymore. Hardly ever, really. But if I did, I would drink rum. Anyway, back to the story.